lifting people up, lifting working families, and making sure that people get the jobs and the protections that they deserve.
A new ordinance backs local workers on public projects. We have a look at the plan and what it means today on KREM 2 News at 5.
Sunshine is back in the forecast and we have temperatures climbing. By the weekend, we're near 90 degrees for Hoop Fest.
Iran launches a retaliatory attack on a U.S. military base in the Middle East. We have the latest developments following the attacks. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start tonight with some breaking news. Within the last 2 hours, President Trump announced that Israel and Iran have agreed to a, quote, complete and total ceasefire. He posted that claim on Truth Social, although at this hour, neither Israel nor Iran have confirmed an agreement. This news comes less than a half a day after Iran launched an attack on the main U.S. base in Qatar. U.S. and Qatari officials say no one was hurt. Over the weekend, the U.S. carried out strikes on key Iranian nuclear sites. Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill tonight, where members of Congress will be briefed tomorrow on the U.S. operation.
President Trump announced Monday that Israel and Iran have agreed on what he called a complete and total ceasefire, a move he said would end a more than week-long conflict between the two countries. The war will be considered ended, Trump wrote on Truth Social, indicating that the ceasefire will begin at midnight Eastern time. So far, there has been no official word yet from Israel or Iran on a ceasefire. Earlier, Iran launched short and medium-range missiles at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar Monday, the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. The attack came in retaliation for U.S. strikes on 3 key Iranian nuclear sites. A U.S. defense official says there have been no reports of U.S. casualties.
This is the home of U.S. Central Command. There are a range of critical assets at this base, drones, aircraft, and more.
The attack happened just as President Trump was set to meet with his national security team. Diplomatic sources tell CBS News Iran's retaliation was expected and calibrated. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are mostly divided along party lines over President Trump launching the military strikes, but one Republican says Congress needs to vote. On social media, the Republican Thomas Massie of Kentucky wrote under the War Powers Act, the president is required to withdraw from hostilities in Iran within 60 days unless he gets a vote of Congress. Others are standing by the president's decision.
Given the situation that we're looking at right now, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the president and the administration.
Members of Congress are set to be briefed tomorrow on the situation. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Here at home, Washington's 2 Republican congressmen are backing the president. On social media, Congressman Michael Baumgartner congratulated President Trump for a, quote, job well done. Baumgartner wrote, letting Iran acquire a nuclear weapon would be suicidal. He added that no one wants this war to escalate, but, quote, sometimes we must show strength when our vital interests are at stake. Meanwhile, Senator Patty Murray called the strike unconstitutional and said, quote, it is critical that Congress ask important questions before approval. Congress needs to understand what intelligence the administration is acting upon. As the conflict continues, Iranian Americans in western Washington are speaking out. Computer scientist Alvi Mousavi says he has no choice but to protest as his home country of Iran is under Israeli bombardment. He marched alongside dozens of fellow Iranian Americans last week in opposition to the U.S. government's potential involvement in the conflict. The man says he's already lost friends and family members.
I would say the majority of Iranian people want is a change that is brought by themselves. They don't want any external force, any external country to come and make a change inside their country.
Well, in Bellevue over the weekend, a small group gathered to show their support for the U.S. attack on Iran.
I want to thank to President Trump because he did a great job.
I'm really happy to be with my Iranian friends and really advocate for their freedom.
Some people shared they have been calling for a regime change in Iran. The U.S. strikes on Iran are shaking up financial markets and triggering a rise in oil prices. Overnight, those prices surged, with U.S. oil futures jumping almost 4% to $76 a barrel. AAA warns if oil prices continue to stay high, expect gas prices to rise. Right now, the average price in Washington state for a gallon of gas is sitting at $4.39, according to AAA. That's up 8 cents from a week ago. Meantime, gas in Idaho is up 9 cents at $3.36. It will likely take a few weeks until we see any impacts on the strikes for the price of gas in our region, since gas stations have already paid for the gas that is in the pumps right now. The U.S. State Department has issued a worldwide security alert following the U.S. military strike in Iran. The warning advises Americans to take caution, especially if they're traveling overseas. The agency says there could be demonstrations against Americans and U.S. interests abroad. Homeland Security also warning Americans of potential cyber attacks. All right, let's talk weather on this Monday. After a cooler weekend, it looks like things are drying out and warming up. Let's get outside right now to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy the Good. Jeremy, kind of warm already out there tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And I found myself behind a cloud here in the past couple of minutes, which feels absolutely wonderful. Now, I'm going to show you a temperature. This is out at the airport, 72 degrees, and you might be looking at the bottom of your screen and going, why doesn't that match? The one from the bottom of your screen comes from downtown, so it always is just a little bit warmer down there. Unfortunately, this is the one we keep records with, and I can't do anything about where we get that other number from. So a lot of people message in. That's just the reason why. 72 degrees in Spokane and over in Coeur d'Alene, up in the 80s or close to it out in central Washington. We are slowly turning that corner, a far cry from where we've been the past couple of days. And those temperatures are just going to keep climbing. Tomorrow, a scorcher as we look at, say, an unsettled couple of hours here. All the way up near the border, we have a few stray showers. Those are just kind of moving through, but notice some of this. We've been seeing a little bit of dry lightning sparking right along the Canadian border, and we're going to keep watching that. That one, to me, is an area of interest, especially with what we've seen already happen in some of these areas. Good news, we've been seeing a lot of rain recently, especially up in northern Washington, North Idaho, and over in the Cascades. Not necessarily going to see any more in the coming days, maybe a few more clouds just with that atmospheric trough overhead, but really the pattern just favors hot days, then a cool down, then extreme heat by early next week. Let's talk it. 84 degrees tomorrow and mostly sunny. We'll see a few more clouds build throughout the day on Wednesday, 76 and mostly sunny by Thursday. So it does get a little bit cooler Wednesday into Thursday, but even then it's still warmer than where we even sit today. So this week is all about turning that corner and getting even hotter and even drier. Unfortunately, we just couldn't hang on to that wet weather much longer than a couple of days.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Today, Spokane City Council members Paul Dillon and Lily Navarrete gathered a large crowd to announce a new public dollars for public benefit ordinance. The ordinance establishes an agreement the city and work groups that would ensure local projects hire local people. KREM 2's Regan Gallo was at today's announcement. So Regan, how does this initiative help boost Spokane's local economy?
Well, I'm standing outside the Spokane Convention Center right now, and supporters for this ordinance are using this as a key example. When this expansion project started, it had $260 million in spending, as well as it gave 2,300 jobs to the local area. And so this ordinance ensures that projects like that in future will go to Spokane's local workforce. The ordinance includes a priority hire provision designed to expand access to public works jobs for workers from low-income and underrepresented communities across Spokane. Councilman Paul Dillon emphasized that when Spokane taxpayers fund projects, the return on that investment should benefit the local community directly. He stressed the need for greater transparency around how taxpayer dollars are spent on public projects.
And looking at our hiring process for public construction works, how we bid out to our contracts, making sure that we are looking at a diverse and local workforce when we are hiring for these projects.
A representative from the Carpenters 59 union, Tony Edwards, says the ordinance also responds to concerns about construction contractors who underpay workers or fail to follow legal protocols. The ordinance includes protections to ensure workers receive fair compensation and have safe and legally compliant working conditions. Now, the ordinance had its first reading earlier today at the city's finance committee meeting, and Councilman Dillon says he's continuing to build support among stakeholders to get this ordinance moving forward. I'm reporting in downtown Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Hi, Regan, thank you very much. We are just getting started here on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. A father accused of murdering his 3 daughters still on the run after 3 weeks. Coming up, we'll hear from the mother of the girls as she spoke at a weekend memorial.